What was that about, Audrey? Today I'm going to do something that I rarely do here at the Dime Drop. I am going to say some nice things about the Sacramento Kings. A lot has been made of the pace boom in the NBA. As we approach the first quarter mark of the season, the pace of play is the highest that it's been since the 1988-89 season, and the Kings are solidly at the forefront of that movement. They're second currently in the league in pace of play, skyrocketing up those rankings from 30th a year ago, and they're also first overall in average cumulative team speed. The Kings are constantly looking to run, even after made baskets. This quickened pace has created a rising tide that's lifted their young talent. Scoring is way up from 98.8 points per game a year ago to 114 this year. By shedding some of the plodding veterans, their ball movement is improved, they're getting more deflections, and they seem to be enjoying themselves a great deal more on the court. Buddy Hield is one of the more promising young perimeter specialists in the NBA, and more possessions has equaled more scoring for him, up from 13.5 points per game a year ago to 18.5 this year. Bjelica has been an offensive revelation. Iman Shumpert has had some more pep in his step, and DeAaron Fox, who we'll focus on more in a minute, is playing fantastic, and Willie Cauley-Stein has improved his scoring, rebounding, and efficiency as well. But while the Kings have the quickness, they lack the thickness. As I'm putting this out, the Kings are 28th in defensive field goal percentage within 6 feet of the basket and 23rd in defensive percentage within 10 feet. People are scoring easily on them around the rim. Rim protection is a real area of concern for them, which is interesting when you consider the fact that they've drafted 3 guys in nearly the same mold in the last 3 years, none of whom are really in a position to help in that area. What are you doing? Cauley-Stein, a guy who you would think would offer some rim protection, is not an elite rim protector by any stretch. For a guy that's played 100% of his minutes at center this year, Willie is 58th among centers in blocks. He's in the 21st percentile for block percentage at 0.5%. He's much more likely to create a deflection or a steal. This season, he's averaging 1.2 steals per game, which is 6th among active centers. Although the Kings are off to an 8-8 start, which is on pace to put them in the conversation to win 40 games, hip hip hooray, they also have no incentive to tank this season, as both their first and second round picks are owned by other teams. Also, make of it what you will, this season the Kings are 2-5 against teams that are projected in the playoffs, coming up short when their proclivity to play fast runs up against teams that can do it more efficiently than they can. Teams that are able to play at an accelerated pace and maintain a solid percentage from 3 are creating wide margins of defeat for the Kings, which is a firm ceiling for their insistence on playing fast. At the heart of the Kings' fun start has been the noticeable improvement from DeAaron Fox. For a team that's wanting to play fast, Fox is an ideal stylistic figurehead. He's one of the fastest players in the league, and they finally decided to turn the team over to him. He's a disruptive defensive player in space, and when it comes to creating transition opportunities, Fox is like a magician. You often don't see it coming. Fox has made an enormous leap in production from a year ago when the Kings were playing much slower. He's jumped from 11.6 points to 19 points per game, from 4.4 assists per game to 7, and from 2.8 total rebounds to 4.2. He's also getting to the line more, and he's doing it more efficiently across the board. Most promising when you consider his evolution as a prospect and what the knocks have been on him in the past, Fox is taking more threes and making them at a higher clip in the early goings of the season. He's shooting 43% from 3 on 1.4 of 3.3 attempts. DeAaron's shot has always looked the part of a capable shooter. He gets surprisingly soft wrist action for such an explosive guard. Among his hyper-athletic point guard contemporaries, guys like John Wall, Derrick Rose, Colin Sexton, Fox is the least physical driver, but he's also the most likely to become a reliable long-term shooter. Also, since his Kentucky days, I've always wanted him to develop a great floater game in lieu of taking those long twos that he loves so much, but we've yet to see that really come along, and that could be another area where he could add a lot of scoring. He's still growing as a decision maker in the pick and roll, but in his defense, his pick and roll partner is typically Cauley-Stein, who's not the most versatile short roll decision maker or scorer, so that has an effect on his numbers. Fox is in the 53rd percentile of points per possession in pick and rolls and in the half half court, this is one of Sacramento's go-to schemes, as he's running 8.4 pick and rolls per game, which is 7th most in the league. A nucleus is defined as follows: the central and most important part of an object, movement, or group, forming the basis for its activity and growth. When we talk about the basis for activity and growth, we're talking about a cluster of players that give you a clear identity, and that's something that the Sacramento Kings have struggled mightily to find in recent years. Over and over and over again, they've struggled to put a nucleus in place that can grow and mature together.
Being young is fun,
but you want to see some maturation happen at some point. My asinine jokes aside, the Kings have managed to cobble together a core of youthful talent that at least resembles a functional basketball team going forward. In DeAaron Fox, Willie Cauley-Stein, Buddy Hield, and Bogdan Bogdanovic, who might be the all-around best player on the team, they found a group of young players that seem to be having a much better time playing basketball together. Also, I think that the Kings could stand to shoot even more threes. I mean, why not? Bjelica, Bogdanovic, and Hield are all proven volume three-point shooters, so it makes little sense that they'd be 25th in the league in three-point attempts. The Kings should stylistically be one of the most annoying teams in the league to play against. What do they have to lose? A draft pick? If you're unlikely to make the playoffs, and if you aren't playing for a high draft position, what are you playing for? In my opinion, this is what you're playing for. You're playing to get your young core reps. You're playing to make your younger assets look good so that you'll have more flexibility to make moves down the road. And you're trying to make Sacramento look like a fun place to play to the outside basketball world. The Kings have to market themselves in some creative ways. Take a look at some of their successful teams in the past. A common denominator? They played a fun brand of basketball. It's happened before. It can happen again. I hate to bring this up, but that makes their passing on Luka Doncic even more inexplicable. I know most Kings fans agree with me on this, and the ones that don't,
get off my lawn.
The city of Sacramento has been through a lot. In the NBA, they're often the butt of jokes from to the million miles long lists of guys that they passed on in the draft, Vivek's bizarrely inhuman clapping, waving guys that they drafted in the lottery only a couple years earlier, the endless parade of horrendous, inexplicable trades, the whole serial killers seem to come from here thing. The vibe in Sacramento has been a bit heavy. At least Lady Bird was a step in the right direction, am I right? The Kings haven't won over 40 games since 2006, which was also the last time that they went to the playoffs. Will they do it this year? I mean, probably not. It's possible that we saw the best 16-game sample that we're going to see from the Kings this season, but maybe we didn't. As Bogdanovic gets healthier, as Bagley and Giles progress towards being able-bodied bigs within the Kings rotation, and, just my opinion, if the Kings decide to shoot even more threes, they could have a nice little season here outside of the playoffs. Kings fans, at the very least, deserve to have a good time. Can we agree on that? What would it hurt? Let me know if you agree.